Hey again, everyone, and welcome back to the channel for the next installment in our weekly news show, where we kind of take a look at what's happening in the six scale world and, just go over some interesting stories or stuff that I think is pretty interesting. I'll start by saying, also, sorry I missed last week, but it was 4th of July weekend, so I ended up having family over, like I'm sure many of you did. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the break and got a little rest and had some good food and fun. Also, news-wise, there wasn't much. Although, yes, I do know Hot Toys dropped the fives and the Echo announcement for the ARC Troopers. I'll be honest, if you guys follow my channel, you know that I'm not a clone guy. Not to take away from all of you who collect clones. I think it's fantastic if you do, if that's a line that appeals to you. I'm all for it, right? But just for me personally, I can't even tell the difference, to be honest. Obviously, there's some differences in the armor, but I'm just not invested in that line. So I would be doing it a disservice to even try to cover them at this point in time, after so many good people have already done it. Right. So yeah, I'm not even going to touch on it. And the other things I'm not going to touch on, which were the big news stories at the start of the week, were the Marvel announcements, the Iron Man Mark III red and silver chrome editions, which surprisingly went up on Sideshow without the Q system, but it did eventually go waitlist at the end of the day. And then the Hono Studios Wolverine and brown suit variant with the exclusive sword. I did think both of them looked really good. I didn't go for either of them. I'm keeping away from Hono, just personal decision. And then as far as the Iron Man Mark III, it looked gorgeous, but I'm just sticking to suits that were in the movie. All right, I'm not going for those variants. It just becomes that rabbit hole, that endless hole that you're just going down. So didn't even try, and I'm not really going to cover those again, going over the figures, because at this point, if you wanted them, you pretty much either navigated the queue system or the wait or the Sideshow site, and you did your best to try to get them. So I think people who wanted these are probably already aware of what they are. But that's not to say there's not other stuff, right, that's out there to discuss. And look, I think I'll leave the big topics for the end, which for me, as a lover of all things Marvel, comics, and especially the MCU, and as someone who really has been supporting that a little bit, even with this dip that they've been having, this week was pretty exciting. And then we do have to talk a little bit about this J&D and Inart war that's brewing. I don't think that it's going to be as appealing to most collectors, just because of the license that we're talking about. But it's interesting that this is what's kind of pitching this first fight between these two. One, that a company that's trying to get themselves established and is building up goodwill in the community, and another one that kind of fumbled out of the gate. So we'll definitely talk about those. But before that, there are obviously figures to discuss. So without further ado, let's get right into things, and let's start with, let's see, what are we going to start with? Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's start with this announcement from Hot Toys. So Hot Toys previously had their upcoming release backstage pass. If you've been in the game for a while, you realize they used to do this a little bit more frequently, and then for some reason they kind of dropped off doing it, and then it became almost like a once a year thing that would happen right at New Year's, right at the start of January 1st. You'd get this announcement, and that would be the only one they're doing. So it's nice to get a second one, because we did get that first one. Now we're getting a second one. Not as many figures in this kind of run that they're doing, but there are a couple of surprises here, and some that I think we've been anticipating. So for me, let's start with what I'm getting. Obviously, Star-Lord with that team suit is one that's coming home. So I've had him on pre-order. And then this Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Obi-Wan miniseries, the DX, I've had that on order for a while. So I'm glad that it's finally looking like it's getting released. Be very excited to get that. And then the surprising one for me is Grand Admiral Thrawn. I have him on order as well on Sideshow, and he hasn't even started to charge as far as payment plans go. So look, these figures don't mean that we're going to get them in the next month, maybe in the next month or two, but the fact that this has jumped ahead is pretty interesting. And I definitely, again, my love of the character stems from the books. So I have the original sideshow with Command Chair, so it'll be nice to get this upgraded version from Hot Toys. So 3 coming home, but then you're also getting Bane. You're also getting I don't know who this guy is from the Bad Batch. Sorry, the name is slipping my mind. And then you get the updated Moff Gideon from Mandalorian season 3. But the big ones, and I think this is what people are really going to be looking forward to getting in hands, are you're getting the new DX Joker, and I can't tell which is the rooted one and which isn't, to be honest. But you're getting the Artisan as well. So this, even though we got the Wonder Woman WB 100 version, that was kind of the start of the Artisan. We'll call it the unofficial start. This is the first. This Joker figure is going to be the first official. First Artisan release that we're going to get. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one in hand from a lot of people, especially to see the comparisons between this and Inart. It's going to be inevitable, right, that people are going to be doing that. I'm jokered out. I've got a ton of the original Jokers. I thought Heath Ledger did a great job. I thought The Dark Knight was an awesome movie. But, at some point, you have to kind of call it quits. So I'm satisfied with what I have, but it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. Again, especially in comparison when you look at Inart, who kind of came out of the gates with that figure, and that was the figure that a lot of people were very much looking forward to getting. And then, of course, you have J&D, who came out with that ridiculously priced set at, I think it was $2,000. There were a couple of tiers. I don't know anybody that's ordered it. I'm sure some people have, so I'm sure when it releases, we'll see some videos. But this figure, for some reason, this is the one that everybody chose to start things off with, right? Inart did their first 6-scale figure as the Joker. J&D's doing it, and Hot Toys is actually launching their Artisan line with it. So look, he's an iconic character. It's an iconic interpretation of the Joker. So I'm not surprised in a sense. There's always a demand for him, but this is the figure that that's kind of putting everything into play at this point. So we'll see how this turns out. Again, I don't have him in order, but very excited to see how this comes in. And then, look, I love that Hot Toys is going back to these backstage passes. A lot of people, I've gotten used to dealing with Hot Toys, and sometimes I'm okay with their lack of communication, right? They put up a figure. If I like it, I order it. If I don't like it, then I pass. But it's always nice to get these backstage looks with at least getting an idea of what's coming, because it kind of helps you get excited. So 3 figures, the Star-Lord, the Obi-Wan, and the Admiral Thrawn coming in, that I'm pretty excited for. So moving on, sorry about the light. I promise you guys I'll invest into a license at some point for this StreamYard thing. But continuing on with figures that we're getting. From Marvel, let's go with Mantis. So first of all, Mantis is an interesting character because the Hot Toys has teased her from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in the team suit. They also teased Drax, and it's been a while, and at this point I don't know that we're going to get those, and we're going to get the completed team suit line. So that's kind of a bit of a bummer, right? But we are getting a Mantis finally. Now, they did label this from the holiday special, the Christmas special, so you could see some of the accessories there are very specific to that. But one of the things I do like, and this picture kind of showcases that, is you don't have to keep her in that holiday gear. I don't think I'm going to be doing that because I just want her standing in with the team. So I think, look, I enjoyed the holiday special. I actually thought it was pretty charming, and it was great to see Kevin Bacon join the MCU as Kevin Bacon. But Mantis, I just want a Mantis that will stand in there, so I don't need the holiday gear. It's there if you want it. I'm probably going to take some pictures with it, but I think most of the time that's going to be in the box, and then it's going to be just Mantis herself. What's interesting too about this release, and I've seen some debate about it, was Hot Toys did announce that they upgraded the sculpt, and they did a pretty good job. Originally, I'll be honest, I thought the original looked great. But then you see the updated sculpt and what Hot Toys was able to do, and it's pretty impressive. The only thing I would argue, and it's not really a big deal, look, I'm gonna, I get a ton of figures. I get third party. I get different companies. So maybe you'll say my level of criticism is very low, and I tend to be very accommodating to what I get. But I think most Hot Toys releases are pretty good. But if you can get this upgrade with Mantis, I'd love for Hot Toys to make this a standard thing where they continue to work on the sculpts until release and get us sculpts of this quality, because this is a really amazing likeness to the actress, right, and to the character. So I think Hot Toys knocked it out of the park with this one, and the fact that they improved the sculpt. Look, Hot Toys, after collecting different companies, Hot Toys is still at the top for me right now. I'm sure that might change when I start getting my first Inart figures in hand, but for now, comparing them against everything else I'm getting, comparing them against third party, they're definitely the best. So for those of you who have Inart, you're probably going to tell me, that's not completely true, but again, I'm just saying, judging based on what I have in hand. But pretty exciting to get Mantis. But that's not the only Marvel release we've gotten. And actually, the other one that we got was, let me see if I could find her. Yeah, She-Hulk. I might do a video just on the MCU, on phase 4 and 5 of the MCU, because it's an interesting, when you go back and you look at all the releases, it's actually kind of an interesting journey with a lot of criticism, a lot justified. Some of it I'm not sure that I totally agree with. Look, it's very subjective, right? You either like it, you don't. You might have your reasons for liking something versus not liking it. I think that's part of entertainment, but I think overall I've been a little bit more forgiving of some of the blunders that Marvel's had. And She-Hulk, let's be honest, that's probably one of the shows that most Marvel fans had issues with. I'm not saying everything else, right? Because Thor: Love and Thunder, everybody was kind of a little bit up in arms about. Although I enjoyed it. I thought it was a little too funny, but I enjoyed it. The first 3 Marvel shows, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki, were amazing. Did they have their issues? Sure they did, but those 3 initials were great. And then you start getting into some of the other shows, like She-Hulk. Look, it was very interesting. It was very all over the place. Even the Hulk, the Bruce Banner portion of the story, right? To just throw in that Hulk's son is there at the very end. The last episode, I saw a lot of comments where people thought it was great because it was so meta. I think it went a little too over the line. I did think the highlight was the Daredevil episode. So there were some things to like, but it was just a very disjointed show for me. But She-Hulk, let's be honest, when are we ever going to get another She-Hulk figure, right? That's the thing that comes to mind. I know I've seen complaints about the suit. It looks like she's a track star, right? And the look of the eyes. I think she turned out great. I think she turned out fantastic. Hot Toys kills it with the sculpted hair. I know some people are like, it's a blob of plastic. It is, but it's a pretty detailed blob of plastic on these. So, and the bug eyes, I don't mind them, right? I think they look pretty good for a CGI character. And the fact that we're getting her, right? She's a tall figure, especially if there's a picture next to Daredevil. Look, not the most exciting release, right? It looks like she's posable. I like the fact that the arms are seamless for the most part, and the legs. When are we ever going to see this again, though, right? I think, I know the actress has had issues with Disney, so her continuing on, I don't know that she's fired. I've seen some comments saying that she's fired, but I think the only comment she's really made is that there is no She-Hulk season 2 currently being planned, and people have taken that to mean, well, she's fired because she said some negative things about Bob Iger and the like. TBD. Maybe we'll never see She-Hulk again. I doubt it, right? I think when we start getting these Avengers movies, they're going to throw everything at it, especially Secret Wars. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a version of She-Hulk. Will it be this particular actress? Who knows? But I think we're going to see a version of her again. But that's a ways off. And for me, trying to fill in the gaps in the collection with all these new characters, right? She-Hulk is a new character that we're getting in 6 scale, so had to get her. Look, I know she's not everybody's cup of tea, so I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys you're wrong, but for me, it's very exciting to get a new Marvel character. And again, Marvel has kind of taken a life of its own in my collection, where it almost doesn't matter if the show wasn't good, if the show was poorly received, it didn't do well. As long as it's a new character, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get it at this point. So very excited to get her. I know I missed her from last week, but I just wanted to touch base on that. I haven't gotten a delay yet from Sideshow, so hopefully she's shipping, but I think we'll have to see. And then sticking with announcements now, I'm going to go into the third-party realm. And let's start with Furiosa from the Mad Max prequel. And this is from Premier Toys. Premier Toys, very interesting company. Third party, but they're all over the page, right? I think they started with the, not the Bruce Banner, the Kirk Connors from Amazing Spider-Man. There was the Doctor version of him, and then they made that gigantic 6-scale reptile from the Amazing Spider-Man, which I got, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with. Not the best figure, but pretty decent, for actually beyond pretty decent. I think it was a pretty good figure for third party, especially at that scale. Posability and the joints were a little loose, but I'm definitely happy to have it. And then they're doing like Jackie Chan figures from one of his older movies, and clearly now they're jumping in. And they've done some Mad Max figures before, so it's not totally new to them, but they're jumping into the fray again and giving us Furiosa from the prequel movie. I haven't watched it yet. I don't think many people have, considering the box office, which seems to have been a total failure. From what I hear, it's a good movie, but I'm not in a rush to see it. I'll definitely check it out eventually. But if you are interested in Mad Max, right, if you've gotten any of the figures that a ton of third-party companies have done, right, including the version from Fury Road, right, the Mad Max. So if you're interested in those, I think this is going to be a great companion piece. Look, I don't know if this is being held up by a wire or a cable, or if it's a fully wired poncho. The accessories look pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, the arm too with the prosthetic, pretty exciting. The likeness there to the actress, it's okay. I don't know that I see it completely, but then again, she's got the camo, right, and the war paint on, so maybe it's not a deal breaker at all. You'll know who it is based on what's coming in. I do like the accessories, right? There's definitely a lot to like, and this is again where third party kind of shines, because given the performance of this movie, I don't think anybody's going to be in a rush to pick up the license. I don't think Hot Toys is going to do it. I could be wrong, but I don't think they will. And even though Inart has been getting into the Warner Brothers market, again, I think they're going to look at the box office failure here and the poor box office reception overall, and decide this is not something they want to pursue, right? They just won't. I don't see that. So if you're interested, I think there's been another one of this version done by another company, but this one looked pretty impressive. So just keep that in mind if you're interested in the movie at all. Again, I haven't watched it. I'll check it out at some point, but we'll see. And then the other one that came out last week towards the tail end was this really amazing Blackbeard from, I think it's Pirates of the Caribbean 4. I forget what the subtitle for that is, but this looks pretty great. This is Ian McShane, I think, right? Who we know from John Wick 2 and all those. He's a great actor. He's been in a ton of movies. But this looks awesome. I don't know if that jacket is actual leather. It looks pretty good. Hopefully it's not pleather. The detail on this just looks fantastic too. And then, of course, we've got to talk about the rooted hair, right? The beard. Look, this is a prototype. And normally I'll tell you they're pretty heavily photoshopped, but this looks pretty good. I don't know if it's been photoshopped. So from a prototype perspective, this is incredible. I mean, the likeness is there, the detail with all the wrinkles, the eyes, the hair. Um, my only question is, look, it's easy to put a prototype like this together, but mass production on these, um, is this what we're gonna get? Because you even see it with the Inart releases, right? That there is some futzing around that you have to do, and some um, you have to play with the hair a little bit to get it to look right. Because out of the box, it's a little wild, and maybe that's going to be the case with this, where you have to work with some product to get the beard and everything to look right. But if you can make it look like this is going to be a pretty impressive release. And it's funny because obviously we're getting that new Jack Sparrow figure, that new DX Artisan, right, which I do have on pre-order. Um, you can easily start getting companion pieces, right? Hot Toys made that amazing Davy Jones with the squid face. We've seen some other versions. Barbosa, right, came out from a third-party company as well. So there are definitely there have been releases, and I know Hot Toys did older figures that I don't know how well they hold up. I did not get those, but this looks like a great option and a great companion piece, even to that new DX that we're getting Artisan. Um, Again, just the detail on the sword and on the clothing set. That jacket looks impressive. So it's there. This is also a collaboration between TG Toys and what is it, Tough Guys Toys. I have no idea who they are. I haven't seen any of their products. I have seen SW before, right? They've done a ton of figures over the last couple of years, so they're a known player. But the fact that they're collaborating with someone makes me think that they really wanted to elevate the sculpt. I mean, that just looks phenomenal. I don't know if it's going to turn out like this. Third party, just proceed with caution. And because this is a collaboration between two companies, I don't. The price is actually a little heftier, right? So this is definitely approaching a Hot Toys price. So be aware of that. And then I would just listen. I hope this turns out as good as it looks, because right now in those pictures, to me, this looks like a Hot Toys quality, Hot Toys level product. It's even got the separate rolling eyeballs, which third parties getting into now. You're seeing it more and more often. So the question for me is just, is it tempting? Absolutely, right? As somebody who picks up third party, this is definitely tempting, and I think it would be a great companion piece to the Jack Sparrows. I just don't know at the cost and the price point if this is going to turn out looking like this, right? Everything else, I don't doubt that we're going to get a good jacket or good accessories, right? I actually feel like that's almost like a given, even though maybe that's also giving third party too much credit. But it's all going to come down to the sculpt. If the sculpt, it's going to soften, but if it stays close to what we're seeing here, I think it's going to be a pretty impressive release. And then it's going to be the sculpted hair, right? If it's completely messed up, this is going to be an issue. And then spending as much as a Hot Toys for something that's got a lot of issues could potentially be unpleasant, right? So I would just say proceed with caution. Even for myself, given the price point, I'm just a little hesitant to jump onto this at this point in time. Look, if any of you have dealt with TG Toys, I just don't remember seeing them before. But if any of you know of them, then, by all means, please tell me. I'd appreciate, anybody's input on what you think about them. But pretty interesting release nevertheless. So now, let's see. Should I save Marvel for last, or should we jump into... You know what? Let's jump into J&D and the 6-scale wars. So we've known this was coming for a while, right? I talked about it 2 weeks ago. J&D has teased or has announced that they're making Harry Potter figures. And not only that, right, but unlike Inart, who kind of did Harry Potter and then followed up with Ron, and a few weeks later followed up with Hermione, word is that on July 26th, they're going to put all three figures, Ron, Hermione, and Harry, up for pre-order in 6-scale format. And we're going to get into the particulars because I'm not sure what it is yet, right? But we've gotten some more details. Look, I'm not going to judge the product yet on these preliminary pictures, because I'm going to show you another one that they gave us of this Harry Potter figure. But this was one of the teaser images they have. We know Inart is doing this kind of background display for the Gryffindor common room that's coming with each of the deluxe figures, so you can kind of create a nice diorama. Are we going to get that with the J&D? I don't know yet, but what they're doing, they did put together a really nice looking diorama, maybe even for themselves. But look, the figures are dwarfed just by everything else you're getting, but the furniture is pretty nice. I'd almost be tempted to just buy this from them, not even for Harry Potter, but just as accessories to create some displays, because it looks pretty impressive, right, from the bookshelves too. I do have to give them credit for this image, right? And then of course we see the three characters, and we do see Hedwig in a flight pose. It's interesting that she's coming in this stack of books again. Who knows, right? All we've gotten are these teaser images. I don't know what they're coming with. Obviously, we see Ron with the rat. We see Hermione with her cat. I will say these do look like they're seamless legs. So for Inart, I know they're going to look back at fixing that, but I think this is kind of an indicator that they should do that, right? Their competition is clearly doing it. But I'm just surprised that we're getting the prototype so quickly, especially because I had been one of the people saying, J&D is pretty much done for at this point. But let's take a look at the Harry too, because again, I'm not going to judge too harshly yet. Can I even zoom? Yeah, I think I can zoom. So look, I don't know. Based on this one picture alone, and I have to look at the Inart, I'm not as impressed. Even the hair here, I think the Inart one might be better. Even the hands look a little big. It's one picture. Again, 26th is coming soon, and we'll see everything. Does it look bad? No, I don't think it looks bad. But when you're competing against another company in the market, at the price point, and that's what we have to talk about. These are going to be expensive. And these are going to be small figures. So is it really worth that much money? And at that scale, with competition already coming in, that's already expensive. Who's going to bite on these? So first impression based on this picture alone, and that's all we have, pictures and pictures, right? I think the Inart one looks better. But we'll see the full reveal. But now let's get into the particulars, because that's where things get a little bit interesting. So, all right, this is taken right from the J&D group. So, let's see. I guess their admin top contributor is basically saying this. So it's the images and they also teased their Hermione. The Hermione actually looks pretty good, but look at the scale again, right? One hand and you're holding it pretty well there. But look, so Kojin Works pre-order is going to happen on July 26th noon at Korea Standard Time. So we have a date. Pre-order is going to happen on their website and distributors, excluding Type A. So my guess is this Type A figure is going to be exclusive to them. So what that Type A is, this 599 USD, that is, so Type A is going to be Harry in the Quidditch robes. And it looks like basically they're only doing that from the J&D site. So look, I don't think they have a universal license for this, a worldwide license. So I think this is going to be very much exclusive to the Korean market, which kind of stinks, because of all the figures that I was tempted, this was the one that was tempting to me. Because I don't know that Inart is going to go deep into this line. They have said they're going pretty deep, right? Because they're teasing Dumbledore, Snape, maybe Hagrid, but that's about it. I hope they do more, but they're teasing that they're not, that might be the limit of it, because they're not big sellers for them. So having this Harry in a Quidditch setup would have been tempting, but it looks like it's only going to be limited to the Korean market at 350. The C-type 800. Okay, and then they have the light orders, which are limited to 1 month from distributors only. So this is clearly their mass production product, where they don't even have a numbered set of releases, right? They're basically gonna run this for a month, and whatever orders they get, and they're gonna fulfill. So interesting approach, right? Because it clearly looks like they realized they priced themselves out of the market, right? The fact that they're doing this 1 month run for a light that's supposed to not have rooted hair, and it's going to be more of a standard figure, that's very interesting to me. So now we get into price. The Type C, which I'm guessing is going to be the all-in, is $15.99. $15.99, and I don't know if it's for, I'm guessing it's for one figure, for each figure. So imagine if you are trying to get all three of these characters. That's $1,600 per character. Again, maybe this is something you're gonna get, this entire diorama, right? If it is it worth the cost? It's still pretty steep, because at $1,600, that's what, $1,600, 32, $4,800. It's a $5,000 set. No way, right? Just no. I'm curious to see it as a fan, but I this is gonna sound ridiculous because the Inart is pretty expensive too, but the Inart is pretty much the top of my price range, right? I'm not gonna go that expensive for three small figures. Maybe the base is gonna be great, maybe this diorama is great, but I don't know that it's not worth that much money. No way. Maybe for you it is, but a Type C, no. And that's their price, right? We know that once it goes to the distributors, because we saw this with the Joker, and we saw this with the the Christian Bale Batman and Armory. No, not gonna happen, because this $1,600 is the J&D price, and then it gets bumped up, so it's gonna be like a $2,000 per figure. No way. Sorry, that's kind of crazy. The Type A, which was the exclusive Harry in the Quidditch uniform, at $600. I know. Listen, that's closer to the Inart price. It's still a little over. I'd be curious to see what it came with, right? If it comes with the broom and some kind of a diorama piece. Yes, this is still ridiculously expensive, but I would probably try to get it. But again, this is going to be limited to, it's only going to be sold from their website, and being that it's not a universal, a worldwide license, I don't think. I pretty much have no shot of getting it at this cost. And then if I try to buy it in the secondary market, this is going to be way too expensive for what it is. And then you have this light. So look at this. $319 for their light version. Still expensive for what it is, especially for the scale of the figure being a smaller figure compared to everything else. It's definitely the higher end of the Hot Toys market prices. And I'm just curious to see what's included in this, because again, if it's just a figure, imagine that versus the Stranger Things kits that come with basically almost nothing. It's not that I'm comparing the sculpts, but just it's the closest thing I have right now. Those are about $170. So this is just a little less than double the price for a figure at the same scale. So for that cost, I better be getting more than just a figure, right? And some accessories. I better be getting something nice. I don't think I will. But again, I'm more curious about this light version, because if this is a decent release and it's priced at that, I still think it's a little expensive, but that cost is a lot more palatable than the $1,600. And then look, right, they're obviously giving a 30% discount on this Type A, on the limited 350 piece Quidditch uniform, if you get the $1,600 from their website. Is it worth it? I don't know, right? This goes back to the whole concept of who are they competing with, right? That light one might be competition for Inart at $319. But the high, I don't even know if this is rooted here, but the high end that they're doing at the $1,600 per, I mean, look, I'm a big fan of the series, right? I've told you guys that as well, but that cost is just ridiculous. Um, Maybe they're gonna sell out, and I'm looking forward to seeing who gets these, and admiring these from afar because I cannot justify that cost for myself. Um, that's custom territory, and if you want it and you have the cash, go for it. But light is more appealing. Um, it's just interesting that all of a sudden there's this demand for Harry Potter, right? I just feel like it's out of nowhere. I'll wait until the 26th to see the reveals, right? We're gonna keep on getting like teases leading up to that. So I'll probably cover them a little bit next week to see what else gets revealed. But um, I don't know. Now, and and I kind of said, is it the six scale war starting up? Um, I s- the light version is interesting. I'm curious what that is because that might be a second chance for Kojin Works and J&D to enter the market. Um, Clearly they want to, and clearly that's a much more appealing price point. Um, so it'll be good to see what that includes because that I still think it's too expensive for these kids. But look, the Inart was expensive, although I justified it with the diorama. But again, that that 319 price is a lot more palatable. So curious to see where this goes. Curious to see because that would be, if anything, that light line might be what undercuts Inart a little bit with their demand. Well, if at all, who knows? Um, so now that we're done with that, right? Because that's just the Inart wars, right? So we'll see. But now let's get into the thing that I'm really excited about. Um, I'm sure you guys all saw this morning. Um, let's see. So, um, no sound on for this, right? Just um, don't want to get it blocked. But we saw the preview for Captain America: Brave New World. Um, I just told you how excited I am about Marvel, right? I got my tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine. Very excited about that one. That looks like it's going to be a great movie. Um, the thing with this is, uh, I don't know. I feel like I haven't been this excited for a Marvel movie in a while. And maybe the fact that, you know, Marvel kind of gave us these this big pause, right? Helped the cause because I felt like we were getting almost, we were getting tons of Disney Plus releases on TV. We were getting tons of movies. So there was almost like a lack of anything special in these, and the excitement that I felt phase one, phase two, phase three, like looking forward to going to the movies to see the next Marvel release. Even I felt like that died down a little bit, and I was pretty much waiting just to um, see these on streaming essentially, right? As opposed to running to the movies to see them. This trailer hyped me up. Um, it looks cinematic to me, right? I think the cast looks great. Harrison Ford, look, I know he's replacing William Hurt because unfortunately William Hurt passed away, but Harrison Ford is a great pickup for Marvel. I think the action looks pretty good for what it is, and you'll see it right here at the end. I mean, they're teasing Red Hulk. I think anybody who's been following the development of this movie knows we're getting a Red Hulk. So the figure person in me is already thinking Hot Toys is going to make a Red Hulk, and I hope what we're getting is, I hope we get a Red Hulk with a hold on, let me just try to go to that particular scene. I hope we get a Red Hulk with maybe a two-pack like they did with the Bruce Banner, and we get the Harrison Ford Thunderbolt Ross, President Ross figure as well. I'd love a two-pack like that, but Red Hulk next to the other Hulks, I mean, that's gonna be amazing. Is Hot Toys gonna make it? I think this movie would have to be an epic fail for Hot Toys not to make that. We saw with Thor: Love and Thunder how deep they went into that line. But then we also saw some other successful movies. Black Panther. Again, let's just talk about financially successful. That was a pretty decent box office hit for Marvel, and yet we only got the one figure, right? There's still no Namor. Maybe it's licensing rights. Maybe they didn't think it would sell. But then Thor: Love and Thunder, We got Thor, we got Mighty Thor, we got Gore. Very excited to get that one, right? And Valkyrie. So sometimes you can't figure out what Hot Toys is going to do. If I were to guess, I think a Red Hulk is a guarantee. Um, I, I just I can't see them not making him. And then as far as other figures, right? Obviously, a new Sam Wilson cap. Um, we're seeing this blue suit now, right, as opposed to the one we saw in the show. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna get him. I think there's a shot too at some point where he's flying, and I think that there's gonna be another Falcon at some point. Hold on, let's see if we can find that scene. So even here, right there, I'm trying to see if I can get rid of this. Sorry, everyone. I'm terrible at this stuff. There we go. So you can actually see the wings. So there's another Falcon. So I can't imagine Hot Toys isn't going to make these two, right? Definitely a Captain America, right? You have to get the titular character, and then another Falcon. So there's 3 figures right there that I think we're definitely going to get. Could we get more? I think the other character that I wouldn't be surprised if we got would be Giancarlo Esposito. I think he's playing a character called George Washington Bridge. So I would not be surprised if we get him at some point. So look, am I declaring that the MCU is back too early? Yeah. Trailers are designed to give you up a lot of hype. And I'm definitely hyped up to see this movie. Hopefully the actual film matches the excitement that we get from this, because if it does, I think that would be Deadpool and Wolverine, and I just have a feeling that's going to be an amazing movie. I think this looks great too. And then we got to talk about something else. So, but before we do that, just to wrap up my thoughts on this, I think this could be a return to form for Marvel. And the other thing is, and I don't know if you noticed it in the trailer, they're finally starting to link things together. One of the battles that Falcon is having there, and Falcon and Captain America, right? It looks like they're going up against Japanese fighter planes, and it looks like they're doing that in that celestial body, that island that was created from the Celestial and the Eternal. So after having just a passing mention in She-Hulk, it looks like Marvel's finally kind of tying things up together. And rumor is that Thunderbolts may also relate to that. I don't think Captain America is going to make an appearance in that one, but it looks like they're going to relate to this a little bit. So finally, after way too long, right? Because it's been years since the Eternals. So finally, it looks like those threads are starting to come together, which is nice, right? That's what we always liked in Marvel, kind of realizing, oh, this kind of makes sense. And this is where they're going with the story. So it's nice to have a little cohesion back. And I like the tone that seems to be set here with that more Winter Soldier vibe, right? Political intrigue. So again, a return to form for Marvel. I think we'll have to see how these two do. But you might disagree with me, but I do feel if Deadpool and Wolverine is a success, if Captain America is a success, and then if this show, right, Agatha Harkness or Agatha All Along is a hit, or even if it's okay, I think Marvel is kind of doing a good job resetting themselves. And I think that's why we're seeing this long pause, right, with releases. This year hasn't been a Marvel heavy year at all, other than Logan and then Deadpool and Wolverine and X-Men 97, right? There's been very little. So hopefully this pause, and we know Captain America went through extensive reshoots, so hopefully this pause overall is just something that's been beneficial for the MCU to get the MCU back on track. And again, I might do a video on what I think about the MCU, just it's figure adjacent, right? But again, I think I'm excited for what the future holds for the MCU. I'm excited from a figure perspective because I think Captain America is going to be a pretty good, I hope it's going to be a hit. And I think if it is, we're going to get a lot of figures from that line because there's a lot of possibilities, right? I think there's definitely 3. Red Hulk, new Captain America. He does seem to be wearing 2 different suits, so I wonder if we'll get 2 figures, 2 versions. We've seen them do that before with different caps. Hopefully we get a new Falcon figure. And then George Washington Bridge, Isaiah Bradley, right? I think there are a lot of characters that could lend themselves. Will it be all Hot Toys? Will it be third party? TBD, right? And I think it's all ultimately going to depend on how good the movie is. But very exciting for me as a Marvel collector to finally see something Marvel opening up again and just see the possibilities. So look, this video went way longer than I intended, so apologies for that, and apologies for the lighting. I'll definitely work on that a little bit more. But that's pretty much the news. So we'll be back next week, hopefully back on track. I did get, we do have one review, at least one review coming out next week. But that's been pretty much it. So let me know your thoughts on all these topics, right? I think Marvel just has me on a high right now. I think that's been pretty exciting. So we'll see. Hopefully it pans out. But again, let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment. If you're enjoying the content, consider dropping a like or subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.